Hey there, it's April Capel with The Possible Diet. Today I'm doing a tutorial on how to make fudge cups. These are like these little things that I snack on when I want something sweet, but it needs to be low carb, low calorie, and still satisfy my sweet tooth. And I have found a recipe for something that really, it just does the trick. It was an old recipe for a milk-based cocoa frosting that I adapted. So it's basically like frosting with a tablespoon of peanut butter on top. And instead of regular peanut butter, I'm using Trader Joe's crunchy salted peanut butter with ground flax and chia seeds because it ups the fiber content. And this only has 1 gram of total sugars and it has 3 grams of fiber per 2 tablespoons. So we're gonna make a little fudge cup and then we're gonna put peanut butter on top of it, and then that's gonna be your little sweet treat. Right now I am melting 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter in a saucepan on low medium heat. And to this I'm gonna add a 1/3 cup of Monkfruit golden sweetener. I use Health Garden. You can get it on Amazon. It's cheaper than other brands. So just add this in, stir it to dissolve. It's gonna smell amazing. You wanna let it melt into the butter just a little bit. It doesn't have to be completely melted, but it helps to kind of get it like half melted. Because when you add in the cocoa, it's gonna clump up really fast. So to this mixture, you want to add 2/3 of a cup of cocoa. I use King Arthur Double Dutch dark cocoa. You can get it online, but you can use Hershey's or the generic brand at the store. It doesn't matter if it's alkalized or non-alkalized, but the higher quality cocoa you use, the better this is going to taste. So just be aware of that. Dump it right on in the pan. When you stir it, it's going to get really, really clumpy and lumpy like brownie mix. So it's going to look like that. To this, you want to add a 1/3 cup of room temperature heavy cream. And then another 1/3 cup of also room temperature half and half. Try not to make a giant mess like me. And then you'll just stir this until it's smooth again. It might take a while. Just be gentle with it, keep stirring, keep it over low heat. And then eventually this mixture will just all be kind of like runny Hershey syrup. A whisk is super handy for this because it gets out the lumps. Okay, so now it kind of has the consistency of like chocolate gravy. And once it gets smooth, turn the heat off. You want to add just a pinch of salt, half a grind, you have a grinder, and then a teaspoon of vanilla. Now, I don't like my chocolate super sweet, but you can add more monk fruit in the beginning if this is too dark chocolatey for you. But I kind of like my chocolate super dark. So once it gets to be smooth like that, you're gonna pour 2 ounces into whatever container you have. I like these containers. You can get them from Amazon, and it's perfectly 2 ounces. If you want a little more, you can go like this, but just realize that this is a lot more calories than this is. So I always err on the side of, I'll have one of these, and then if I need another one, I'll have another one. But if you start out with something this big, you're more likely to eat the whole thing. So when you really just want a little satisfaction on your sweet tooth, stick to tiny containers. I'm gonna pour this into this, and then I'll come back with doing the topping. Okay, so we are back with our chocolate cups. Pro tip, this recipe makes enough for probably 10 or 12 of these little cups, depending on how high you fill them. But I like to reserve, I like to just make a few, because I kind of get tired of the same snack over and over. And this is like a week plus a couple snacks to give away. If you reserve the rest of the frosting, you can mix a tablespoon of this in hot milk, and it's like hot cocoa. So this is kind of like my hot cocoa jump starter Tupperware. Now, to these, I've taken a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream and mixed it with Tom and Jenny's classic soft caramels, so that I have like a little thick caramel sauce here. And you're going to pour a little caramel sauce on top. You can see it's already kind of thickening up a little bit. Just a little bit on each one of these so that there's a caramelly layer. I like this because it kind of tastes like a Snickers. You can make homemade dulce de leche with allulose, which is a sugar substitute. I will link to a recipe in this video so that if you feel so inclined and want to make your own, you can feel free. And this is like super thick, so just gonna scrape out a little. I just made this and it cools really fast, so you want to make sure that you're getting it in these relatively quickly after you make it. There you go. So now you have a little caramel layer on top, and then you want to get your Trader Joe's crunchy salted peanut butter with ground flax and chia seeds. Stir it up so that it's all stirred, and I use an ice cream scooper to make it easier to kind of like get out. You're gonna fill the scooper about like halfway, depending on the size of your scooper. About like that on top. And again, it's gonna depend on what size your containers are, how full you fill them. But this is, just think of this as like, you know, it's certainly not healthy. It's got a lot of fat, it's got a lot of sugar alcohols in it, which might upset your stomach if you're not accustomed to them. But this is sort of like an alternative to a Snickers. You know, if you're in the habit of eating a Snickers every day at 3 o'clock, it's just been really hard for you to cut that habit, and you're trying to lower your sugar intake. This is an alternative. You know, it's not an apple. An apple is a much better alternative. But if you need a chocolate fix, this is a little bit better than a Snickers because it's not going to spike your blood sugar. And it'll get you weaned off of that constant dump of sucrose into your system. So once these are all done, just screw the lid on, pop it in the fridge, and now you have a week's worth of snacks and a couple spares. And those are my fudge cups. So here we go, fudge cup. It's been chilling in the fridge. It looks like that. Just like a little spoon of high fiber peanut butter. It's got flax seeds and chia seeds in it. That little layer of sugar-free caramel, and then the fudge on the bottom. That kind of tastes like a dark chocolate Snickers, but it's got way less sugar than a Snickers. Probably a similar amount of fat. Doesn't have the nougat, but the crunchiness, those chopped up peanuts and the peanut butter with that gooiness of the caramel. I mean, these are pretty good. So if you need a replacement for a candy bar, try these little mini dessert cups. Enjoy.